All right, hey everybody, it's Shibby here. It's been a little while since I posted a video, but today we're just going to go really deep on this topic of what impact is the latest reprint announcements having on prices. So, tons and tons of debate. The purpose of this video really isn't going to be to talk about one side or the other. Instead, we're just going to kind of look at the data and let people form their own opinions. I'm actually going to go back all the way from Artherion Legends to Beta to Alpha. We're going to look at non-foils and foils. We're going to look at set singles and sealed product. So there might be parts of this video that you'll want to kind of go back and play slower or look at the screen because I'm going to be doing a pretty quick click through. But with that as the intro, let's just dive right in. The first screen that you see here is Artherion Legends non-foil set singles. So there's definitely a bit of a downward trend, but nothing to panic about. Of course, the product launched on October 4th. There was the preliminary spike and then the rapid dip. But really since mid-October, I'd say it's fairly stable. Of course, we are at a low, but nothing too extraordinary. So let's hit a few of the specific singles. The Ring, of course, became the biggest hit of the set. For a while, there was speculation that it would be Four Waters. But here we can see that, late October, it really spiked hard and has kind of normalized here to about 70. Morgana Le Fay is another one that was kind of a late find, and it's climbed up, up, up. So definitely one of the big hits of the set. Four Waters, again, a little bit of the opposite. I'm surprised to see it as low as 33.50 right now. That's definitely surprising since at one point it was really closer to the $70 range. Witch, Joyous Guard, so some of these tri-sites, they're holding in price quite well. Merlin is a fun one. Amulet. So I think that's all the time I'll spend on the singles. Again, I think I've clicked through about the top dozen or so, and you can see some of what's going on in price. So now let's toggle over to the foils. This is pretty typical with foils from what I've seen. The market price and the low price ultimately should converge to one point. So right now, that's what they've done. We can look at some of the hits like Four Waters, Ring of Morrigan. The call out here with pretty much all sorcery foils is there is an extreme scarcity element to this. Of course, with Beta and Arthurian Legends, there's a lot more. But unique foils are incredibly hard to hit. It's approximately 3 per case. So these have pretty high value, especially for the most playable cards. But at the same time, there's not a lot of volume. So it's a little bit difficult to see those smooth price trends. Instead, they tend to look a little bit more staggered. So I think I've clicked through some that if you want to kind of see what's happening with them, I think at this point, I'm going to hop over to the sealed product. And when I took a look at this a moment ago, I think this is probably where most people's concerns are coming from. So looking at the booster box specifically, so of course, advertised or suggested price, I believe was $129. It started, this would all be pre-sale. So up until October 4th on TCG, this was all pre-sale. So from basically this point right here forward is what we're looking at. It hit the market on TCG basically right around that 115 range. But then it did spike, there was just natural buying and process of, going out and trying to acquire product. But here lately is where there's some pretty big dips. We're now under 100. So really everything is to be determined. We don't know what prices are going to do in the future at all. But the fact that we're already below $100 and there is so much concern and anxiety towards the idea of reprint and that product now starting to hit shelves, it's definitely reasonable to think that there will be continued downward pressure below $100 on boxes. I could very much foresee hitting 90, or I think it would be a very big red flag if it were to start to hit something like 80, just for the long-term health of the game. But you can see where we're at now. We're right at about 100. This is the trend for boxes, and here I'll click the cases just for the sake of it. Same kind of thing. You can see a pretty big plummet just here in the past, call it week or two. So that's Artherion Legends. I think we spent 5 or 6 minutes looking at price trends there. Let's actually switch over to, let's see here. Let me back out. I'll push reset. I'll come back in and present. And now let's look at beta. Same kind of thing. Let's start with non-foil. And let's only look at set singles for now. So this is one that, of course, when Team Covenant announced their out of print way back in March, there was this huge spike. And from that time, it's been downward. But I don't necessarily think that, this spike was justified. So a lot of this average in here is probably where to look. And since the announcement, beta price really hasn't moved a whole lot. So let's look at Philosopher's Stone. I think this is, I don't remember if I talked about this in a prior video or not, but I think this was a good sign when this started to be purchased more. I think there were more players getting into the game. We see some of that with the cores as well. Amethyst, Onyx, Aquamarine, and Ruby. Some of the most playable singles. Highland Princess is incredible. So again, from about that mid-October range, there's been fairly healthy increases on some of these most playable staples. So that's what we're seeing on beta non-foil. Let's look at the foils. I think this is more of a concern. I think for those that would identify more in the realm of being a collector, the price of foils is something that's obviously very important. I think that we need to be constantly reminded about the importance of a game like Sorcery having a very healthy player base, but also a very healthy collector base. Me personally, I'm in both camps. I love playing the game. I also don't want my card prices to go to zero. So I think it's reasonable to expect some degree of value. Now, I do think that there's extreme opinions on both sides. I don't think it's reasonable for collectors to expect a multiple X their money within the first few months of new product. Equally, I don't think it's fair for players to expect everything to be very cheaply priced. There's a balance that has to be struck there, and that's what Eric's Curiosa is trying to figure out right now. But we can see there is a pretty big downward pressure on foil prices. So clicking through a few of these, Philosopher's Stone, cores, and again, the volume, the movement of these is quite a bit lower. And that's why the lines don't look as smooth, because there's not as much product on TCG to smooth that out. So just mid-video here, I'll make a little plug. There's probably a whole lot more that you would like to click into on your own. Just as a reminder, this is a tool that is accessible to people. It is a Patreon model, so it's $3 per month, but that will give you live access to the tool so that you could come in every single day and kind of poke around and look at prices. I'm only looking at one page for this video. If you go back and look at some of my prior videos, you'll see there's lots and lots of pages. But anyways, let's get back on track. Let's look at beta sealed product. And let's look at boxes. Honestly, nothing super crazy in my opinion. I mean, everything is of course speculative as to what's going to happen when the reprint hits stores, but there's nothing really crazy that I'm seeing here. Let's look at cases. And then precons, I think this is the one that makes absolutely no sense. I think it's a collective acknowledgement that Eric's Curiosa coulda, woulda, shoulda made these more available. They should have done precons with Artherion Legends. And I think everyone would agree that reprinting these to oblivion until every single person has them at MSRP or less is a good thing. Because right now, them being at $78, that's inflated, and I think that's blocking players from getting into the game. So, they maintained this $40 price for a very long time, but they are artificially high at the moment, and I am excited to see the price of these precons come down. Okay, very last thing that we want to look at, let's just take a very quick glance at alpha. Okay, it's starting on alpha sealed. Let's look at boxes. Again, there's not a lot of movement in alpha boxes on CCG. There's different platforms where those seem to transact, but that's what you can see here. Let's do switch over to set singles. And I think alpha has taken a big hit. I've been in since Kickstarter. I had quite a bit of product that I purchased, just fell in love with the game. And again, the side of me that wants to see product retain value doesn't love seeing this chart. But the reality is, I'm really excited to get more players into the game. And if the beta reprint continues to, enable that, I think there's a positive aspect to it. So I'll click through just a few of these non-foils. Of course, things like Eric's Curiosa and Courtesan Thais and Death Dealer, these were, specific to alpha. So that kind of justifies the higher price. They're much more collectible. And then let's take one quick look at foils. And again, the movement on these is just so much more challenging. So, okay, let's just start to wrap up the video there. I'll maybe make a few additional comments, but just flip through some of these pages. So in this view, this was the kind of snapshot of what's the latest with Artherion Legends with the multiplier so that you can try to find deals. There's, of course, the alpha page, alpha beta comparison. EV, this is an interesting one. Actually, let's just take a quick little glance at this. Artherion Legends. The EV with no exclusions. I have a different video here, so take a look on that, and it really explains all of these. But for the hits, the foils and the uniques, EV for that would be $103. And I think that's part of the concern is EV's already quite a bit lower. And then if you look at some of these scenarios, like saying no unique foils, that's when the EV of the box becomes really challenging. And I think that's why people have fear of the reprint, of continued downward pressure there. Oh, and just a call out for the tool, I did reclassify the Sirs and Dames that are not truly unique as Elites. This was kind of getting a little muddied up in the data, and it definitely made more sense to classify those based on their print rarity rather than their stated rarity on the card. So I think the prices here are kind of more consistent, but let's go back and see, here's your play sets. So you can see price comparisons, and again, I've got the Elites called out separate now. So that's the overview of the tool. I'd welcome you all to, check out the Patreon. I'll put the link in the description. But it just allows you to kind of see what's going on with prices. You can kind of do deep dives. You can, there's a lot of layers to the tool, and a video like this, I think, gives a brief summary, but ultimately, the tool's really suited for discovery on your own. So check out that Patreon link. Leave a comment below. Please give this a thumbs up. I'm still in the process of posting videos like this. I think this is not even the 10th that I've done. So if you like this content, if you want to see more of it, please give me a like, please give a subscribe. But more important than anything is let's continue to try to aspire to be a great community that really hears each other's points of view, has good, healthy debate, and wants to see the long-term health of this game. I think that is what we all want. We want more people to play with, and we want to see this game succeed long-term. So anyways, I hope you all have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Enjoy time with friends and family, and thanks for stopping by. See ya.